Hey everyone, welcome back. Video 2. This video is about how to train a virtual assistant in a specific task or project. Yesterday we talked about what kinds of tasks are good for a VA and what might your own process look like when you're trying to figure out what to delegate and what to keep doing yourself. In this video, we're going to talk about what the actual training process should look like with a VA. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. Let's go back to the list that we made yesterday. So what I did yesterday was to note down hypothetically everything I work on over the course of the week, broke down those tasks into things that only I should be doing and things that someone else can do, like a virtual assistant. To this list, you can also add other things that perhaps you don't do currently, but that you'd like your virtual assistant to do. So whether that's graphic design work on Canva for social media, writing blog posts, or any other projects, say for your business or in your personal life, booking flights, helping you out finding accommodation on Airbnb, whatever it may be, right? So you can see here, this list is a broad set of tasks that are both business related and some personal ones in here, like for instance, researching flights and accommodation. So again, that's more on the personal side. Great. So the next step here is to actually delegate these tasks to your remote worker or virtual assistant. How do you do this? So if this is your first time delegating to a VA, I'd recommend starting with the easier tasks on this list. Definitely don't start with the more complex ones. The reason for this is that you are honing your own ability to delegate, and your worker will still be learning the best way to work with you as well. So best to start with something relatively easy for sure. Let's choose this one here as an example, tracking the news about competitors. Okay, so let's just say that for your business, you'd like to track some relevant news. So maybe this is news related to your industry or to your competitors. Let's just use this as an example of how to break down and think about the delegation of a particular task. So this is definitely a task you want a VA to be doing. You don't need to be doing this yourself. You don't want to be doing this yourself. So then the next thing you want to do is this: think about and then write down carefully the process. Get specific. This may take you 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Ultimately, you'll be saving yourself a huge amount of time later on in being clear from the outset about what you'd like your worker to do. And you'll also be ensuring that what they do is exactly what you want because you've spelled it out really clearly. So I'm not just going to send, and this is an important point, I'm not just going to send my VA a quick email asking them to say, track the news about our competitors and send me a summary. Because you know what I'm going to get from that? I'm going to get junk from that because they don't know what I mean. And if you receive that kind of assignment from an employer, you also wouldn't really know what that means either. So you wouldn't know what to provide. You wouldn't know how to do it correctly. So you need to be specific. And this can also be a powerful exercise for you too, the one I'm about to do in a second, because you'll often figure out in writing down the process better ways and a more efficient way to do X or Y task. So a good way to do this is to use a Google document. For small one-off tasks, you can use a free video recording software like the one I'm using now, which is called Screencastify, screencastify.com if you want to look it up. They've got a wonderful browser extension, or Loom is another good option to make an instructional video and just send it over to your VA. Writing things down is almost always going to get you a better result, so let's do it that way. Okay, so I often use a template like this. I'll send you a copy of this. Here are the key questions that we want to answer. So, I might put in here, so let's see, what's the task name? Tracking competitor news. So then we have 4 questions here. What is the task? What's the process? How often should it be done? And how should it be turned in? You can customize these based on the specific task, but this is generally a good guide of core questions. So let's go through this. For this task, I'm going to write tracking competitor news about new innovations or products they're launching. That's very straightforward. So you could have your remote worker track the news about literally anything. Again, this particular example is just to give you an idea about how we might use a process breakdown document like this. So then the next part of this is what is actually the process. In this section, I'm going to write down the details and I'm going to go into detail. So that's an important point. So let's say step 1 here is set up in your work email a Google News alert. You can do this here. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, set up alerts for the following keywords. If it was one of our competitors, say as a hiring agency, it might be, say, Upwork or Fiverr. Basically, every day, my VA is going to get a summary of the latest news stories about, featuring these companies. So step three, so we've got kind of the information flow set up. So then step three would be click on articles if they're related to a new idea, product, or innovation from one of these companies, right? If we want to figure out, hey, what are our competitors doing in this space? Might as well keep careful tabs on that to see if there's something we can learn from that, right? So then let's see if you're not sure whether there's anything relevant in an article, go ahead and click on it anyways and check. That's step three. Step four would be once per week, send me a summary of these innovations or new ideas or products. If there are none, if there's nothing to report, send me an email letting me know. If there is something to report, send me an email letting me know. One-line summary of the key articles. That's it, right? So now you've written your process down. That's great. That was quick, easy. And basically, you've just ensured that you're communicating clearly with your worker about what you want. They know exactly what you want. So there's no room for confusion here about what the process is going to look like. Okay, so now here is how often should it be done? So let's say Fridays, 12 noon Eastern time. Send the summary to me via email at xxx@gmail.com each Friday at 12 noon. And then how should it be turned in? We've already covered that in the last question, so see prior question. So now we've written the process down and it's super clear. We have the process document ready. The next step here is to jump on a Skype or Zoom call with your worker and walk them through the task, walk them through the document, share this document with them, and then walk them through it and see what questions they have. This is a pretty simple task, but particularly at the beginning, we don't recommend you try to do everything via email. You want to get specific. You want to develop a good process document like this. This is an awesome hack, and it will really help in controlling quality. Again, step one is document the process carefully. And step two is share the document with the worker and then get on a call with them and walk them through it. Okay, so the main mistake that people make is just this, which is that they do not document their processes. So they hire a VA and assume the worker can read their mind, which obviously they can't. I'm going to give you another example here. Let's imagine that I'm a business owner. I run let's say I'm a business coach. I run my own coaching business. Okay, so I hire a VA. Let's imagine that VA has a bunch of prior experience in digital marketing, social media, graphic design, etc. And I want to delegate my social media to that person. Great. I'll tell you exactly what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to say, hey, I've got these social media accounts. Here's the login access. Take a quick look at what I've done in the past, and good luck with that. Even if they're an expert in that, even if they're an expert in social media or in digital marketing, I'm still not going to do that. I'm going to work out the plan with them or have it predefined. So in the case of social media, I am going to sit down and define very clearly what it is that I'm looking for. So let's imagine that what I'm looking for, I sit down, I go through that whole process. I say what I'm looking for is 4 posts per week that are going to be posted on Instagram and Facebook. You're going to use a platform like Buffer, for instance, to schedule the content. Here's your access to Buffer, so you can access the account. And then I will probably have a session with that virtual assistant where we go into Canva together and we find certain templates that the VA will use every week. So we define certain templates, say, okay, here's the business aesthetic. Let's go and find some templates. So I know exactly what is the kind of aesthetic you're going to be using every week when you design these posts. Great, we've got that defined. We have the aesthetic now defined. We know that you're going to be creating content 4 times a week. We know that you're going to be using Buffer. Then what remains to be defined primarily is perhaps a little bit more about what is going to be the content in each of those social media posts. So that's something that I would also define with the VA. And then the last thing I would do is I would define a target date, a deadline each week. So maybe they have that content ready and posted on Buffer by 12 noon Eastern time every Monday, right? And so then I can go in and check it. It's content that it's actually going to start running later in the week, so I have time to check it, give feedback, etc. So that kind of level of detail is exactly what you want to have when you're training a VA, onboarding a VA, and delegating tasks to them. So that's super important. Definitely take this recommendation seriously. And I think what you'll find is that you'll have much more success with a VA, and find that you're delegating key projects much more effectively.